I'm David Hofisi. I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm 29 years old. I'm a lawyer in an NGO called Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights. I'm into public interest litigation and I focus on constitutional law, constitution monitoring, and litigation in the higher courts. There's a problem of disregard of judicial pronouncements in the political arena anyway. But in cases that are not politically sensitive, it is in fact possible to get a good judgment in the field of socioeconomic rights, for instance, and one that can be enforced. The wider challenges there are in the social engineering aspect, having to actually reach out to people and let them be aware of the rights, but that's only the first stage. So it's increasing awareness, but also empowering people to enforce the rights and to seek to challenge people in power so that their own quality of life can be improved. We have this sort of awareness program around different clusters and different sets of rights, and then we seek to get people to use that knowledge to be able to enforce their rights. Our constitution is so young, it's only 2 years old, and we are still trying to build a culture of constitutionalism around that new set of entitlements. And so the experience is very important for me, particularly when one is mindful of the work that Madison and others did in debating and coming up with principles which we now accept to be given or tried or common cause. And it's been very instrumental for me to go through the foundational arguments that lead to the principles that we now take to be set or accepted, and to then look at the early struggles in America's constitutional democracy and see how those inform the contemporary struggles that we're experiencing in my own country, so that we can shape our own responses to those struggles and strategies to deal with them. Young people are always touted as the future. And I think that comes with the obligation of being sufficiently adept with information and being aware in order for one to participate effectively in the future, which is one's heritage. And so what that means, particularly for me in Zimbabwe, I think young people need to learn more about rule of law, constitution, governance, because every young person feels and legitimately feels that they're entitled to some form of future in their own country. But in order to secure a good future, one must be aware of how that shall happen, the systems that allow or don't allow for that to happen. And so particularly for a country like ours, which is trying to build a culture of constitutionalism, I think we must be targeting young people in order to know these principles of rule of law, so that the new generation will grow up and will take up jobs with a new mindset that places primacy on accountability, transparency, efficiency, and so that we actually establish the break from the past that most of these new constitutions try to achieve. The post-colonial African state is still locked in with liberation and post-liberation, neoliberal and imperialist narratives. And it's not the sort of narrative which, to my mind, resonates with young people's genuine concerns about finding jobs and having access to clean water and electricity. And so young people have got their own narrative, and programs like this are very important. They're useful for young people to be able to chart their own way forward and to find their own place in what will be the future of the continent.